that discharge that is coming out from you, that is smelling like fish. Yes, fish. And it's making you very uncomfortable because you are itching and itching and itching, even in public places. See, sis, don't worry. Okay, there are millions of women who have gone through the exact same thing in their lifetime, and I know that it can be very, very frustrating simply because you don't even know what is causing it, let alone know how to treat it. And it's embarrassing to talk about it. Anyways, that's why I'm here, for us to understand, sister to sisters. Let us understand what is causing that abnormal discharge, that particular one that is smelling like fish, and how we can treat it.
In the depth of my heart, a flame burns bright.
Hi people, welcome back to Isolona's Corner. If you're stopping for the first time, you're welcome. My name is Isolona and I'm your host. I'm a registered nurse, a midwife, as well as a professional makeup artist. And over here, we discuss all things pertaining to faith, health, nursing, and beauty. So if these are the kind of content you're looking out for, please do not hesitate to like, to share, and subscribe. In the previous video, I talked about abnormal vaginal discharge as well as what could be the causes of the abnormal vaginal discharge, including bacterial vaginosis. Okay, so for you to understand this video, you have to go and check out my previous video. Okay, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below, as well as timestamps, so that you can navigate this video. Now, bacterial vaginosis is an infection of the vagina, and this occurs as a result of alteration in the amount of bacteria present in the vagina. Yes, there are bacteria present in the vagina, but this bacteria is a healthy form of bacteria, which we normally call the normal vaginal flora. And you might ask, what is the importance of having bacteria in the vagina? What it does is it prevents the vagina from infection. And for this to occur, this bacterial flora or normal bacterial flora has to be at a certain level, a certain amount, a certain balance, okay? And the balance is usually between 3.8 to 4.5 pH, which simply means that that environment is acidic. And all this is to ensure that there is no proliferation or multiplication of unhealthy bacteria or fungi in the vagina. Now, having understood all this, what could make the normal vaginal flora, which is acidic, which is between 3.8 to 4.5, to lose its balance and cause the vagina to be prone to infection? Number one could be antibiotics. Now, the intake of antibiotics by individuals who are sick, usually with bacterial infection, could cause an alteration in that normal vaginal flora balance. How is that? Antibiotics works by reducing bacterial load. And remember, we have bacteria in that region for a purpose. So someone who is taking antibiotics, probably because the person is sick, has the chances of reducing the bacteria that are present in that region, causing the person to be prone to vaginal infection. Another is the incorrect or excessive washing of the genitals. Now, what do I mean by that? By the time we expose that region to foreign bodies, be it in the form of bath soap, it could irritate that part of the body, causing you to become prone to infection. And you will notice that the first sign you will experience is itching. You will start experiencing minor itching initially to tell you something is wrong down. Now, another is the use of foreign bodies. The way the vagina is designed, with that level of balance of bacteria to prevent infection, it therefore means there are limited things that should be put or enter or pass through the region, of which you have a child during childbirth, you have menstrual flow or menstrual blood when you are, at that time of the month. So that is why there are individuals that just the mere use of contraceptive, their body is already irritated and they start experiencing infections. Some persons also the use of feminine products. Yes, when you are douching, those products, you are altering the pH of that place and you are causing yourself to be prone to infections. Another factor is smoking. Yes, I have said times without number that when it comes to falling sick or ill, there are certain factors that you find constantly in individuals who fall ill. For individuals who smoke, the mere fact that you are smoking, you are prone to all the infections, all the disease on earth. The ones that have names and the ones that don't have names, including vaginal infections like bacterial vaginosis. Another factor could be hormonal changes. Yeah, no, once a woman is pregnant, during that time she goes through a lot of changes in her body, physical and non-physical changes, of which you have hormonal changes taking place. And as a result of this alteration in this hormone balance, as well as alteration in the pH of the vagina during that time when she's pregnant, it makes pregnant women especially prone to vaginal infection. Now let's talk about risk factors of BV. Now when it comes to BV, there are certain risk factors associated with it. One of it is stress, simply because a person who's going through stress has the immune system compromised, and once the immunity is compromised, definitely the person is prone to infection. Another could be as a result of unhealthy food consumption, because the food we eat plays a major role in building up our immunity. So if we don't eat healthy, there's nothing to help build up our immunity. Also, is having unprotected sexual intercourse as well as having multiple sexual partners. Apart from that, we also have the use of tight undergarments, simply because if you're that kind of person that put on tight undergarments, you are allowing that atmosphere to be a good breathing ground for bacteria, because with tight undergarment comes trapping of heat, trapping of moisture, and there will definitely be an overgrowth of bacteria once this happens. When it comes to signs and symptoms of BV, bacterial vaginosis doesn't really have that much symptoms, okay, but the symptoms can be very distinct. Now, one distinct symptom you have is presence of discharge, abnormal discharge, which could be whitish, grayish, or greenish in color. And for you to further stamp that this abnormal discharge is a BV is from the smell. When someone has BV, the smell of the discharge, irrespective of the color, is usually fishy. You know how raw fish smells? That's the same smell we perceive. Also, there's presence of itching. And I'm not talking about itching like intense, uncomfortable itching. For some individuals also, they experience burning pain when they're trying to urinate as well. So these are the symptoms that you will normally find in someone who has BV, especially the first three symptoms I talked about. Complications of BV includes you're at risk of having STI, it includes your chances of having STI, sexually transmitted infections. It also could lead to pregnancy complications later in future, as well as pelvic inflammatory diseases. BV can easily be diagnosed by getting a sample of discharge, that's the abnormal vaginal discharge, and taken to the lab for microscopic investigation. Also, there is a smell test or a whiff test that can be done. Remember, I said it has a characteristic fishy smell. So, from the smell of the discharge, you can identify that this is BV. And finally, there is also a pH test. So, remember that with this condition, the pH, the normal pH of the vagina, is thrown off balance, right? And so, it will be indicated that the discharge is not as acidic as it ought to be. Remember, the vaginal environment, the discharge, the normal discharge, is expected to be acidic. So once it is not acidic as indicated by carrying out a pH test, using a pH test strip, then you know that that is BV. Now let's look at the prevention of this condition. When it comes to prevention of bacterial vaginosis, I would always say avoid douching. Remember, that place has a normal balance of bacteria. Don't throw it off balance by placing things that are not supposed to be there. Avoid douching, okay? Avoid multiple sexual partners and avoid having unprotected sexual intercourse. Also, I would say wear breathable underwear. Yes, ensure you wear breathable underwear at all times, as well as always observe your body as a woman. Don't wait till you start having abnormal discharge first before you start knowing that, okay, yes, I need to go to the hospital or do a test. Like I said, one of the first signs you experience is itching. With itching, before you now start having the discharge. So once you start having abnormal itching, check yourself. Okay. Now let's look at treatment. For individuals who are diagnosed with BV, it is actually one of the easiest health conditions to treat, simply because you are just going to be placed on antibiotics. Remember, it's a bacterial infection. You're going to be placed on antibiotics. This part of the world usually place in the patients on metronidazole, flagyl, or clindamycin, okay, to help combat the infection. All right, so that's what they're going to be placed on. But some persons, we also have to place them on probiotics, simply because once the vaginal pH has been altered, we have to take it back to its previous state. And we can only do that by giving you medications that will help return or balance your pH. Okay. For some persons, actually, their BV goes on its own. Okay. There are people that who have BV and it goes on its own. But I want to advise to follow that route to go to the hospital for treatment to avoid it leading to further complications. And with that, I've come to the end of this video. I hope it was informative and educative. If you have any question, please leave it in the comment section below. And until I see you next time, I love you and God bless you.